And welcome here to TalkFCB, and welcome back to the channel here today, guys, where we have plenty of Barca news on the agenda, because today we had the Copa del Rey draw where Barca will be coming up against Atletico Madrid. We're going to be talking all about that game and what's expected here of Barca over the coming months. We're also going to be talking about Robert Lewandowski. His future today almost seems to be confirmed now, but we're also going to be looking at the long term as well, with both Alexander Isak and Benjamin Sesko discussed on the channel today, guys. So all of that is on the way. I hope you're going to enjoy it. Now let's do this. But if we first of all kick off here with some fantastic super thanks shout-outs here on the channel. First of all to Bio there. All of this good work has to continue. We must make it count. We deserve any and every trophy this season. We are just that good to watch. And I'm absolutely in agreement with that right now. Thank you for the great support. And also there to Avjit as well, who's really excited by the squad depth that we have right now, particularly there in the centre-back area where we are absolutely stacked. And I want to talk first of all, guys, in today's video, actually, about Man City against Real Madrid last night. And of course, obviously, Barca not involved in these Champions League playoffs. That's a really good thing. We've had a whole week here of rest, which is really important in terms of the long-term picture this season. But I want to talk about rounded Man City because, to be honest, guys, it was a lot of a closer game than I would have actually expected. Man City, of course, have had real struggles this season, and they did, of course, lead the game for much of it there, right up until the 85th minute of the match. Then Real Madrid, in typical Madrid style, particularly in the Champions League, they're never out of the game, are they? Was you at all surprised when they actually not only equalised, but then scored again to win it in the 93rd minute? Now, I wasn't shocked at all, but I also just want to say on this, guys, and the reason why I'm mentioning it is because a lot of Barca fans obviously frustrated that Man City really threw it away. We all wanted to see Real Madrid lose. You know, it's good fun, it's funny, it's banterous, and all of that kind of stuff. But I would just like to say here, I wouldn't even be that sad if Real Madrid do end up going through, because I've got to be perfectly honest here, I want to play them in the Champions League. I actually want here, in a season where Barca are through to the knockout stages, we are looking good, we're looking promising here, we're playing well in the big matches, and of course so far against Madrid this season, we have proven we can beat them, and beat them well. So if there's a big team left in the Champions League, and it happens to be Madrid, I'm fine with that right now. I am fine with them going through, and I would actively like to come up against them over a two-legged tie in the Champions League. Let's make that happen. Because of course, guys, then you have the Copa del Rey semi-final draw, where actually that very nearly did happen. We were so close there to a Clásico semi-final played over two legs, but instead, well, in my opinion, Barca got the hardest draw they could have done. You know, Real Madrid, top team, of course, Real Sociedad as well, absolutely no pushovers, but I think in terms of the matchup here, Atleti, it is the toughest draw that we could have gotten here. It's going to be a massive test for us. And right now, when you're looking at the way that it's going to work here, the first leg is going to be at home, at Montjuic, at the end of February. That's going to be the first leg. And then the second leg will be away at Atletico Madrid. A little bit of a gap in between the two here. That's going to be round about the start of April there. So Barca know exactly what is coming their way. But with Atleti, it's quite interesting, guys, because in your opinion, would you rather play them in a two-leg semi-final, or would you rather play them in a one-off game in a final, for instance, of the Copa del Rey? Because for me, I'd probably rather play them over those two legs, because in a one-off game, they can just make something happen. You know, they can find their way through it. They can conjure up a win from nowhere. I mean, look at the league game that we played just before Christmas there, whereby we dominated that match. We were absolutely dominant, playing some really good football. Now, somehow, Atleti won that game. They found a way there to win that 2-1 from nowhere. So I would actually take comfort here in the fact that, yeah, it's a tough draw, it's a difficult game, but it is over those two legs. And with the first leg at home, get a good result right there. do not give them something to protect heading home for the second leg in terms of Atleti there. So Barca right now on Monday, we've got Rayo Vallecano, then we're going to head away to Las Palmas. Then we will have that all-important first leg. Let's start well in that game there in the Copa del Rey. We then have Sociedad at home and Osasuna at home there. So we have a real run of home games, Atleti, Sociedad, Osasuna. But do bear in mind, guys, obviously it's not out yet, the fixture is not confirmed yet, but in between that game there, between Barca and Real Sociedad and Barca and Osasuna, we will actually have the Champions League round of 16 beginning there. So there is going to be a Champions League game at the start of March, round about the 5th, which is going to be a big one before the second leg there at the Metropolitano. That is going to be an absolutely massive game there. Looking forward to it though. It's a test, and that's what we want. But of course, guys, there has also been some very, very big news today on the future at Barca of Robert Lewandowski, because multiple reports now saying that he will be staying beyond this season. Because up until now, there's been debate, Lewandowski could leave at the end of the campaign, or he could have that contract extended until 2026. And now, it is all but confirmed the club will agree to take up that option that was existing already on that deal, to take him nearly right up until his 38th birthday there at the end of next season. So Lewandowski looks as though he's going to be staying at Barca. Now, right now, of course, we don't know the finer terms of that deal. We don't know whether his salary is going to stay the same. You wouldn't imagine that it would go up. Obviously, as you get older and older and older, you'd expect maybe even that deal is in place to just bring those wages down a little bit, maybe. There is also no option, it's believed, for a further year on top of this, so it doesn't look as though there's going to be any further years beyond 2026 as of right now. So next season could be Lewandowski's last at the club, because what we're hearing right now though is that he and his wife, they want to stay in Barcelona. Of course, they've had big offers from Saudi Arabia, offers there from elsewhere, but their whole plan when joining the club was to sort of start their life in the city. And even after he retires from the game, for example, Lewandowski and his wife still plan to stay in the city there. But it's going to be interesting, I think, to see next season then, if he does stay, what exactly is his role going to be in the team? Because even this season, of course, we started to see Lewandowski rotated a bit more. He's been taken off plenty of times by Hansi Flick. He's also been left on the bench too. We've used Ferran in that number 9 role. At times we've not even used the 9 at all. So Lewandowski, maybe we're not as dependent on him as we have been in the past. It's going to be really interesting to see how that continues there moving into 2026. But I think Deco's words today, thinking about that centre-forward role in the long term, very, very interesting words from him, because he says that in the current situation, we don't need 4 or 5 players. He says, we're very pleased right now because we have fewer concerns about signing players than we did before. The young players are really growing into their roles. So from Barca right now, it's not necessarily because of financial restraints, financial restrictions there, that they're not able to go out and sign players. I think we actually can. We're in a much, much better situation now, especially heading into the summer. But what it seems like from inside the club, they're not just going to spend for the sake of it. And that's really, really important here. We saw that as well in January. Just because you have money doesn't mean you need to spend all of that money there. It's very important to strengthen the squad in certain specific areas. But it does seem like this summer, it's going to be one or two big signings maybe, but not a huge amount of players on their way in. Because right now we continue to hear in the media, unsurprisingly, that Deco is still a pretty big fan of Liverpool's Luis Diaz. And of course that's not thinking there about the centre-forward role, but more about the left wing there. Barca have still got their eye on the market in terms of wingers. They would like to sort of strengthen the wider areas at the club. Now Luis Diaz, he is 28 now though. He is moving into what you'd say would have to be his prime years of his career. I think the transfer fee on that one would still be really up in the air. What would you pay right now at that age for Luis Diaz? Now, Deco has been tracking him and an admirer of him for some time, and don't forget as well that Luis Diaz would love to join Barca. There is absolutely no secret about that. But in terms of number 9s, one of the names that has been discussed quite a lot, over the past sort of year or so, Benjamin Sesko. Now, this is a young man here, only 21 years old, playing right now in the Bundesliga for RB Leipzig, Slovenian international, fellow countryman, actually, of Luka Doncic. Is anybody else still not over that trade, by the way? But anyway, he's a big striker, big profile there, 6'5" inches tall, but he has scored some absolutely incredible goals there. He's been absolutely fantastic for his age in front of goal in terms of his finishing, in terms of being clinical. But I do have to say, guys, whenever I've heard Sesko linked to Barca, I also hear a lot of links there to Premier League clubs too, you know, the likes of Man United. I mean, whether he go there or not, that remains to be seen, really. But I do think when I think about him and his profile and the style of play that he has, would he be more suited to a Premier League team there? Could I see him going to the Premier League over La Liga? I think probably, you know, to be honest with you, I think he's a very talented player, very, very talented forward. I'm sure he'll go on and have an excellent career in the game, but at least right now, personally, I see him more in the Premier League than coming to Barca, for example. But we must talk about Alexander Isak. Now, let me just say as well, I will never get tired of talking about this centre-forward, because for me, he is up there with the very, very best of them in the world right now. Every single game, every single week that goes by, he actually seems to get better there. We're not just talking about great form. This is just a great player. And not only in terms of the goals that he scores. Of course, his goal scoring this season has been absolutely prolific. But it's his overall game. It's about the way that he can take on possession of the ball, how he can be so comfortable with it there and use it in all the right ways. He's got great vision. He's got great understanding there. Fantastic technical quality. Now, we've already seen in Isak's career that he's been brilliant in La Liga. Even at Real Sociedad, he was a very, very talented player. And I think, if anything, he just needed a bit more experience there, a bit more confidence maybe in front of goal to get the real numbers that he's producing now. Because in terms of his characteristics, he really does have it all. Now, the reason that I'm talking about all of this is because Barca, they are genuinely interested. You know, it's not just paper talk here. It's not just fans trying to make this materialise. Barca are genuinely interested in Isak. They've spoken apparently to his representatives at the end of 2024. Those conversations now have continued into 2025, and Isak would be open to the move. And I can believe that here. I believe that he would be open to a move to Barca. But the issue is, and the massive stumbling block, it is, of course, going to be the transfer fee. Now, if Newcastle are to sell Isak this summer, it will definitely cost you over 100 million euros. You're talking right here absolutely massive money. And they've also got him, by the way, on a really, really good contract there. Long-term deal, no problem at all on their side, however. But now, if Newcastle this season, though, miss out on Champions League football. Now, that is still up for debate. Whether that will happen or not, we'll have to wait and see. But if they do miss out on Champions League football, if Isak then really pushes for an exit, where I see Barca here having a real advantage in this particular race is the fact that we are a club playing in La Liga. Now, what I mean by that is, just look at what happened with Tottenham and Harry Kane. Now, if it really came down to it and Newcastle was sort of pressured there into selling Isak, if he really wanted out, do you think they'd rather sell to Arsenal, to Liverpool, or not to a direct competitor, not there to somebody within their own league fighting for the same positions as they are? They would much rather, surely, sell abroad, get him out the league, get him away from the Premier League, sell him to Barca, and not to teams there who are challenging for the same places that we are. That's our advantage, and that's something there that we really have to play on, just like Bayern did with Harry Kane. But it still remains to be seen, guys, exactly how much that would cost us, whether we are going to be in a position to do that. But make no mistake, in terms of centre-forwards, he is outstanding. And in my view, he would fit Barca like a glove. But of course, guys, that is only my opinion on the situation right now. What is your honest view on Isak? And realistically, you know, looking ahead of the summer there, how much would you actually pay? What would be the maximum that you would spend on signing him if that was the road that you wanted to go down, guys? So let me know all of your thoughts in the comments down below. Let me know your reactions as well to the Barca Atletico Madrid Copa del Rey draw. We'll be talking plenty more about all of these big games to come. But thank you indeed here today for joining me and for all of your support. But until next time, as always, Vejska, El Barca.